Good afternoon to all participants. On behalf of Ctara, I welcome you all to day 27 of Appendix 3 session. The topic for the day is source of finance. And to take you through the session, we have with us Sri M. Nageshwara, Senior EA Instructor, Ctara. Good afternoon, sir, and welcome to the session. Now over to you for the next 1.5 hours. Thank you.
So, good afternoon, sir. Good afternoon, the participants. Today's session is the source of finance. Today, this session is limited to source of finance, budgetary sources, and another topic will take up extra budgetary sources. Is it visible?
Yes, sir.
Yes,
sir.
Before start,
Yes, sir.
I'm going to meet all the participants. At the end of session, I will unmute. Okay. The source of finance, budgetary source of finance for capital demand number 16 works. This is the source 7th chapter of Indian Railway Finance Code, Volume 1. So, what are the budgetary source of finance? As an individual, suppose for revenue expenditure, the source of finance is your salary. Revenue expenditure, to meet revenue expenditure, the source of finance is the salary or a regular monthly income. Whereas to finance the capital works, that is a construction of house or purchase of four-wheeler or two-wheeler, purchase of any items, household items, it requires the regular finance is not sufficient. The regular income is not sufficient. That is the reason the administration inquired about the source of finance. The staff is applying for a permission for acquiring immovable property from the administration. So the administration wants to know what are the source of finance for construction of house or purchase of flat. So that is the source of finance. For revenue expenditure, it is your regular monthly income is the revenue expenditure to meet. Now we'll check capital demand number 16 for works. What are the source of finance? We'll check. Here, source of finance are two types. One is budgetary sources of finance, another is extra budgetary source of finance. Budgetary source means the sources which are announced or disclosed in the annual budget submitted by the government to the parliament every year. It is called budgetary sources. Extra budgetary sources means which are outside the scope of budget. That means IRFC, EBR, and PPP. All these are considered extra budgetary sources. So here budgetary sources, normally it may be a capital or internal resource or from other government funds. There are three categories of budgetary sources. One is capital, that is provided by Ministry of Finance, and another is internal resource, that is a surplus. So after meeting all day-to-day expenditure and demands 3 to 13 and demand number 1 and 2, we have surplus. Yeah, is there that surplus we are provided appropriated to various funds, that is called internal resources. And from other government funds, see Central Road Infrastructure Fund and National Investment Fund and RRSK direct funds given by the Minister of Finance are called other government funds. These three are main sources. Now we'll check how many sources are there. One is capital, another is a DRF, Depreciation Reserve Fund, third Development Fund, fourth Capital Fund, fourth Safety Fund, sixth RRSK, Rashtriya Rail Sanrakshak Course, and seventh Debt Service Fund, eighth Central Road and Infrastructure Fund, and ninth National Investment Fund. We'll check one by one all this. Before that, last year budget we have a glance. In the 2020-21 budget, what is the capital expenditure budget? The total capital expenditure is 1,61,042 crores. That is the last year budget. So it is, if we check, it is a three categories is there broadly. One is budgetary support, that is gross budgetary support, that is nothing but provided by Ministry of Railway Finance. It is almost constitute 43% of total capex. 43%, almost half of the amount is from by provided by Ministry of Finance. And if we check the internal resources, that is a very meager amount, only 5%. DRF, Development Fund, RRSK, that is internal resources, it is only 7,500 crores, is a very meager 5%. And if we check external resources, that is a EBR, IRFC or IF, PPP and Nirbhaya Fund, it is a almost 83,542 crores. It is almost 52% of the total capex. This is the broad view of the last year capital expenditure budget. Here, if we check this year of formation of all the funds, the DRF is the oldest working fund in Indian Railways, that is established in the 1924. The prior to 1924, the name of the DRF is the Programmed Revenue. Programmed Revenue. Now it was renamed and it was from 1924, it was called DRF, Depreciation Reserve Fund. The numerical code, the first two digits is the 21. See, this numerical code is the first two digits in the capital allocation. The revenue allocation, the first two digits represent the erstwhile demand number, whereas in the capital allocation, the numerical code is the source of finance for first two digits. So this is the oldest working fund. And second one is the development fund. That is this numerical code is the development fund. 1 is 23, 2 is 33, 3 is 43, and 4 is 50. This is established in the year 1950. Before 1950, it is called as Betterment Fund. Betterment Fund. And in 1992, Capital Fund is established. That the numerical code is 25. This old name of this capital fund is the Railway Revenue Reserve Fund. Railway Revenue Reserve Fund. And this is the safety fund. It is the established in 2001. And SRSF also established in the 2001. However, it was closed in 2008. So this is the RSF with the numerical code is 26. And 2017. This RRSK is formed, Rashtriya Rail Sanrakshak Course. Though it is not specified as SRSF, but it is nothing but the second SRSF. I told you now SRSF, it was also established in 2001 and it was closed in 2008. After a gap of again 10 years, in the name of RRSK, it is formed. This is a special fund. Now we'll check sources one by one. Capital, it is also called as loan capital, it is provided from the general revenues by the government of India. So it is provided by Ministry of Finance from the general revenues. Normally at the time of announcement of budget, it was disclosed. So any fund we just discuss the debits and credits we will discuss. That is very important. What are the debits to the fund and what are the credits to the fund? Credits means receipts. Debits means outgoings. Now we'll check the capital. What are the outgoings from this fund? The cost of land, that is important, only we charge it to capital. And the first cost of construction and equipment, that is new lines or new production units or machinery, plant and machinery. And cost of maintaining a section of the line not opened for working. That means section is completed but not opened for the passengers working. So till such time the cost of maintaining the section also it is chargeable to capital. And the cost of any additions to the line or equipment of the line also is chargeable to capital. And last one, the capital component of IRFC lease charges. See, we are leased rolling stock from the IRFC. Almost to 85 to 90% of rolling stock, it is Indian Railway is not owner, IRFC is the owner. So we are taking on lease basis from there. So we have to pay capital component as well as interest component. So capital component it is chargeable to capital. Normally funds are available, it is chargeable to capital fund. Suppose there is no funds under capital fund, we are chargeable to capital. So these are the debits to the capital. Now we'll check credits to the capital. That means receipts to this fund. Receipts to this fund is the cost at the debit of capital of an asset other than land, because there is no question of this condemnation of land. So other than land which is abandoned or disposed of without being replaced. Suppose the asset is purchased with the cost of capital, so that asset is condemned or going to dispose without replacement. So that amount again it was right back. It is called right back. It is a credit to capital, because at the time of creation or at the time of construction it was debited. Now at the time of disposal or abandonment it was credited. Simple, right back. And replacement of rolling stock by another or less attractive power or seating capacity or flooring area. That means suppose rolling stock it is there 5000 horsepower. Suppose it is replaced by the 4000 horsepower. So the difference of charging of the rolling stock it is credited to capital. And the sale proceeds of any land when it is sold or surrendered. Because at the time of purchase of land, it is debited. So at the same time, it is the sale of any land, it was credited. And the difference between the cost at the debit of capital of a replaced asset, when the replaced asset is less than the cost at the debit of capital, it is very rare case. That means suppose 100 rupees asset is at the time of construction it was debited, but replaced with the cost of 90 rupees. That means entire 100 is not replaced. So the 10 rupees is credited to this capital. So these are the credits. Now we'll check the DRF. This is very important for Depreciation Reserve Fund. This is the oldest working fund in Indian Railways, established in 1924. The previous name of the DRF is the program revenue. So whatever expenditure chargeable up to 31/3/1924, it is a carry forward to DRF from 1/4/1924. This is a minor head under the major head 8115 depreciation bar renewal reserve funds. One major head is there 8115. So this DRF is the minor head under this major. This account is maintained in the books of Railway Board and in the office of Railway Board. entire railways, it is maintained in the railway board office. So, now here also we'll check what are the debits and credits. We'll check. Debits, see here two fundamental principles. One is first cost or first time construction or cost. It is a capital. Replacement, it is DRF. This is fundamental. Please remember. Whenever it is a first time construction or first time acquisition, it is a capital. Any replacement, it is a DRF. So the cost of replacements and renewals, including the cost of dismantling charges or handling and shifting charges also, it is a debited to DRF. Also the cost of replacement of ballast, including improvement type, that is also debited to DRF. And the cost at the debit of capital or DF of the asset, which is abandoned or disposed without being replaced. See here, suppose one asset is purchased from the capital, but if it is a if it is a abandoned or disposed without being replaced, so the cost at the capital, it is debited to DRF. This is also part of right back adjustment. And modernization of rolling stock, also it is a improvement of the modernization of rolling stock. It is also debited to DRF. When come to credits, every year we are appropriation to DRF under demand number 14. That is from internal railway revenues. It is the main important credit. The amount contributed annually from the railway revenues. That is as per demand number 14 estimate. That is normally as per the recommendations of the Railway Committee. And another credit is the amount realized from the disposal of original asset. So any asset condemnation, the sale proceeds of the scrap amount, it is credited to DRF. And the amount of interest earned on the balance of fund. Every year on 31st March, the Reserve Bank is given interest on the fund balance. That is also one credit. Here, all funds here, the balance is carried forward from year to year, all funds. But if you check last year, last 8 years contribution to DRF, it is declining gradually. It is declining gradually. In the year 2013 and 14, 7,900 crores. Then it was 7,700, 5,600, 5,200, and 17-18 it is 1,540. Finally, the current year the contribution is only 800 crores, very meager amount. It is not sufficient for replacement of all the structures which are due. See here, what is the policy we are adopted? Unlike commercial accounts, the railway appropriation to DRF on a need come availability basis, because based on the need available amount only we are appropriated, not as per the scientific calculations. Normally, what is scientific calculations? That is the historical cost divided by useful life. That is the depreciation. What is the depreciation to be charged? Minus salvage value. So these negligible appropriations resulted nothing but it is a creation of special funds. So in the 2001, SRSF was created with the amount of 17,000 crores. Again in the 2017, RRSK is created with the amount of 1 lakh crores. If sufficient amount is appropriated to DRF in the regular, these need of this special funds is not required. These two are very important funds. Capital is for construction and first time acquisition. DRF is a replacement. Now other funds will check. This is the development fund. Development fund, it is a previous name is a betterment fund. It is established in the 1950. It is divided into 4 parts. It is divided into 4 parts. Development fund 1, 2, 3, 4. I think all of you are familiar with the word plus. Plus, it is a very familiar word. P represent 1, L represent 2, 3, U represent 3rd, and S represent PF 4. So, how the word is arrived is this say development fund 1 is passenger amenities and other railway users amenities. But the recent railway board letter, it is rechristened or renamed it as a customer amenities. Customer amenities. So here P represents plus P represents passenger amenities and other railway users. L represents labor welfare works. U represents unremunerated works. S represents safety works. From this, it is the word formed plus PLUS. So this all this 4 is together. It is a development fund, but it is a part 1, part 2, part 3, part 4. We'll check part 1. Passenger amenities examples means water supply at station, waiting hall, refreshment rooms, retiring rooms, washrooms, provision of fans in existing coaches, PRS and public announcements, etc. And other users, now these two are called as customer amenities. Just a minute. So other user amenities, it is there for goods users, right users, that is facilities in goods sheds, parcel offices such as water facility and waiting room. These two part of development fund 1. And development fund 2 is labor welfare works, means it is a staff related welfare. Staff related welfare. That means provision of new hospitals, dispensaries, schools, railway institutes, recreation rooms, sports facilities, clubs, staff canteen, restrooms, railway quarters, sanitation and water supplies in the colony. All this part of development fund 2. And development fund 3 is unremunerative works. Because all of you know the minimum rate of return is the 10% to charge any work under capital. Whereas this development fund, the rate of return is not required. So labor welfare works, unremunerative works, it is the development fund 3. The examples is improvement of water supply at stations for local traffic purpose, not for passengers. For local traffic purpose, removal of infringements, converting dead-end sidings into improved loops, additional loops at stations, electric lighting at sheds, stations, improvement in signaling facilities, provision of guardrails on major bridges, telecommunication works, remodeling station yards, workshops, sheds, stores, depots, and provision of running rooms, rest houses for officers and subordinates, firefighting arrangements at stations, washable aprons on passenger platform lines, approach road to stations. All this comes under unremunerative works because we cannot expect the rate of return like in other works. And fourth one is the safety works plus S for safety works. This is the development for 4. All safety works other than LC gate and ROB or RUB. Any safety work including anti-collision device, any works expenditure regarding safety, it is comes under development fund 4. These are the debits. And coming to credits, amount appropriated from railway surplus. See, after meeting demand number 1 to 13, 3 to 13 and demand number 1 and 2, and after provision of this appropriation to DRF and pension fund, the surplus whatever is there, this surplus is appropriated to various funds including the development fund. So that is the important credit to this part. And at the time of creation of asset, the DF is charged. Suppose that is any work, this hospital or dispensary or school. If the same is disposed or abandoned without replacing, then that is amount is created to this development fund back. And interest earned on the balance of the development fund. See, some funds are interest carrying funds, interest bearing funds, some funds are non-interest bearing funds. This is the interest bearing fund. So at the end of 31st March, on the balance some interest is created to this development fund. So this is the credit. Now we'll check one more fund, that is a capital fund. Capital fund, it is created in the 1992-93 as per the recommendations of Railway Commission Committee 1991. It is a minor head under the major head 8118. It is established in place of Railway Revenue Reserve Fund. The previous name is Railway Revenue Reserve Fund. Here, before 1992, suppose if there is a situation, the railway is not able to pay the dividend to Ministry of Finance, we used to draw the money from the Revenue Reserve Fund and pay the dividend to the Ministry of Finance. But afterwards, the policy is changed. In case of we are unable to pay dividend, it is deferred for a period of 10 years or something. So that is the reason the Railway Revenue Reserve Fund object is lost. So that is the reason it was replaced. It was changed as the capital fund. It was changed as the capital fund in the 1992-93. So what are its credits? Credits, it is like the development fund. It is also appropriation of the revenue surplus after meeting this development fund, that is a principal as well as interest on loan to development fund, and appropriation to current year DF, and payment of deferred dividend if any. Suppose a deferred dividend if any, that first we have to meet that amount. Then after these three items, any surplus is there, that is created to this capital fund. And interest on the capital fund, that is the rate decided by the Railway Commission Committee. So these are the credits. And coming to debit, this is the nothing but it is a replaced as far as possible loan capital. Because if we use loan capital, we are bound to pay dividend payment to Minister of Finance up to 2017 and 18. Now there is no dividend. So to save that dividend, we have to use the amount available under capital fund to the demand number 16 works to reduce the burden on the loan capital. So this fund is utilized to finance expenditure until now charged to loan capital to the extent the balance available under this head. If there is no balance, we can't do. We will go for loan capital. But if balance is available, first we have to utilize this capital fund to avoid the dividend burden. No separate rules existing for utilization of this fund. However, normally these planets 11 and 51, except these two planets, this capital fund is used for all the planets, except that is a new 11 means new lines, 51 is top quarters. And capital component of IRFC lease charges also, it is a payment from this capital fund. Suppose if there is no sufficient balance in the capital fund, then we have to pay from the loan capital. That is the payment of IRFC lease charges capital component. And normally in the pink book, it was suggested the source of finance. So as per source of finance indicated in the pink book, we have to spend the amount. So the distribution between capital and capital fund from 1998 to 99 onwards, as per the allocation indicated in the yearly pink book. So what is the object of this creating capital fund is to reduce the borrowings from the general revenue, that is called loan capital or gross budget support from the government, because the loan capital is the non-refundable and interest-bearing loan. Interest-bearing loan means dividend, because it is a loan in perpetuity. You cannot repay the loan. So the interest is paid in the form of dividend to general revenues. Since loan capital is non-refundable, the payment of dividend also it is a perpetual, continuous thing. And one more reason is year by year this gross budgetary support to railways is declining. See, in the 1975-76, the gross budgetary support to the demand number 16 is almost 75% of total expenditure. Whereas in the year 2011 and 12, it came down to 34%. But planned size of the railways or capital expenditure of the railways cannot be reduced, since capacity restrictions would endanger the economic progress of the country. So the gap between the requirements and availability is to be bridged. So what is the only way is to increase the internal resources. So that is the reason this creation of the capital fund is needed. Because during those days, the concept of extra budgetary resources and it is a very nil, almost except IRFM. So no dividend will be paid on the expenditure made from the capital fund, because it is our money. If it is a capital, it is provided by Ministry of Finance. Whereas capital fund, it is our own money. So any expenditure made from the capital fund, we need not pay any dividend. On the other hand, interest is credited to the capital fund on the balance of the fund at the end of March 31st. But last 10 years, the balance in the capital fund is very, very negligible and very, very meager, because the railways is not increased the prices for the last 10 years. This passenger fares or goods fares. Anyway, this after measure of railway budget, general budget from 2017 and 18, there is no relevance of this dividend impact on the Indian railways. So this is the capital fund. Now we'll check the safety fund. Safety fund or railway safety fund. This is established in the 2001 along with SRSF. So the object of the safety fund is for only the road users. So two main objects. One is conversion of unmanned level crossing gates into manned level crossing gates. The second object is the conversion of busy manned level crossing gates into grade separator. Grade separator means that is the ROB, RUB or LHS, road over bridge, road under bridge, and limited height survey. Limited height survey. Since the inception of railways, there has been a policy to provide unmanned level crossings where train vehicle units are low and manned. If expected TVU is on higher side, so wherever this train vehicle units are very less, it is a manned level crossing gate. Or if expected TVU are more, it is a construct ROB and RUB. So normally this road over bridge can be built over level crossing. If the train vehicle unit is crossed 1 lakh, TBU, it is nothing but trains multiplied by the road vehicles. It should be figure 1 lakh and above. Then the construction of ROB and RUB is proposed. So normally the state government is bear this 50% of the cost of this ROB. So as of 2016, Indian Railways is having 28,607 level crossing gates. Out of that, 67% are manned and 33% are unmanned level crossing gates. These unmanned level crossing gates are account for maximum number of this train accidents. Now the railway board policy is to construct to remove level crossing gates on the BG line, broad gauge line. So this is created in the 1/4/2001 based on the recommendations of Railway Convention Committee 1999. This is the non-interest bearing fund, whereas the development fund and capital fund are the interest bearing funds. On 31st March, the interest is credited on the closing balance, whereas this capital safety fund, it is a non-interest bearing fund. Here, credits is the surplus after meeting the dividend liability in the railway revenues, like in the development fund. And another important source is the transfer of funds from the CRIF, Central Road Infrastructure Fund, that we'll discuss later in this article. So here, new planet to 2900, that is for conversion of unmanned level crossing to manned level crossing, that is a planet 29. And planet 3000, it is the construction of ROB or RUB or LHS in place of manned level crossing, where train vehicle unit number is crossed 1 lakh and above. So these two planets expenditure, it is met from the railway safety fund. And one more fund, debt service fund. This is established in the year 2013 and 14. The object is to meet the liabilities for debt servicing of Japan International Cooperation Agency and World Bank loans taken for the DFC project, as well as obligations of the future pay commissions or awards. Every 10 years, one pay commission is established. Normally, the recommendations may take 2 to 3 years. So, once the pay commission recommendations is accepted by the government, the railways is supposed to pay the arrears of the last 2 or 3 years. So, to meet this, now this dedicated freight corridor project is going on with the help of loans from the Japan International Cooperation Agency and World Bank. So, after 10 years, again, it is railways responsible to repay the loans to the JICA and World Bank. So, to meet all these obligations, in advance, the railway has created this debt service fund. That means loan. So, what are the credits? Credits is the net surplus, that is the railway excess of receipts of expenditure after appropriating the amounts to development fund, capital fund, and interest on the closing balance of the fund. This is also interest bearing fund. And what are the debits to this fund means already we discussed. To meet committed liabilities of debt servicing for World Bank and JICA, and other future liabilities arise due to implementation of pay commission recommendations or awards. Any. If you check the practical example, see the 6th pay commission recommendations, it is implemented retrospectively 1/1/2006, but it was approved by accepted by the government in the year 2008. So during the year 2008 and 9 and 9 and 10, there was a lot of burden on the railways to pay the arrears. So also JICA and World Bank financing on a very big large scale, because the DFC is costing around 1 lakh crore. So Western DFC, it is a 1500 kilometers, it is funded by the JICA, almost extent of 77% of project cost. And this 1839 kilometers, this Eastern DFC, almost 1183 kilometers of this Ludhiana and Mughalsarai section is funded through loan from World Bank, almost 66% of project cost. So unless we are contributing annually from the surplus, the repayment of loans to the JICA and World Bank and meeting the 8th pay commission, that is in coming days, will be a major burden on the railway finances. So in order to prevent the huge burden on the railway finance at one time, this fund is created and planned to allocate the contributions from the excess of receipts of over expenditure from 2013 and 14 year onwards. But due to not clear, this fund contribution is very nil almost. In the year 2016 and 17, to meet the 7th pay commission arrears, almost 3,000 crores from this fund has been utilized. So to account on this, a separate classification or allocation, that is from demand number 4 to 13, it is subhead 990 under grades and recoveries has been created. But however, last few years there is no appropriation to this fund due to lack of sufficient internal resources. Now we'll check the RRSK. This is a special fund. RRSK stands for Rashtriya Rail Sanrakshak Kosh. Rashtriya Rail Sanrakshak Kosh. This is the dedicated fund for the railway safety. This is only for safety fund. It is established in the year 2017 and 18 based on the recommendations of the High Level Safety Review Committee 2012 headed by Sri Anil Kapurkar. He is the former chairman of the Atomic Energy Commission. The period is 5 years. This special fund period is 5 years. Previously, the railway SRS, Special Railway Safety Fund 2001 and 2008 with the 17,000 crores. So on these lines, this is also safety fund exclusively for this railway safety. This fund proposed is 1 lakh crores. That means on an average 20,000 crores for every year. So in the initial year, it was proposed like that. That is 10,000 crores from Central Road Fund and 5,000 crores from Ministry of Finance and 1,000 crores from the internal resources and another 4,000 crores by collecting cess on the fares. This is the initial year they are proposed. So what is the object of this RRSK is strengthen the safety measures on the rail network to prevent accidents in order to accomplish zero accident mission. The goal of the railway is zero accident mission. So in order to that, to strengthen the safety measures of all railway network to prevent accidents, that is the object of main this fund. And the unique feature of this fund is, I think all of you know this, whatever funds sanctioned on the railway budget, it is a lapsable at the end of 31st March under the policy of doctrine of lapse. Whereas under this fund, it is a non-lapsable nature. Non-lapsable nature. That means the grant allotted for this fund shall not be lapsed with the completion of the financial year. That is the unique feature of this fund. So in the current year, the budget provision is the RRSK is the 10,000 crores, 5,000 crores from the internal resource and 5,000 crores from the budgetary support. So this is 10,000 crores, same allocation in the last year also. So what are the works falling under this category is, this fund is all works related to safety, that is track renewals and upgradation, bridge rehabilitation, elimination of LC gates on the broad gauge routes by year 2022, complete elimination of all the LCKs, and construction of ROBs and RUBs, replacement and improvement of signaling system, improvement and upgradation of rolling stock, and replacement of electrical assets and HRD. If you check the objects of this fund, other than this HRD, everything it is either renewal or replacement. See here, track renewal, bridge rehabilitation, replacement of signaling, improvement or upgradation of rolling stock, replacement of electrical assets. That means actually this is the object of this DRF, depreciation reserve fund. But if you check this current year contribution is only 800 crores, it is not sufficient to meet the replacement of all the assets. That is the reason the government of India has established this RRSK with the 1 lakh crores with the period proposal of 5 years. So it is nothing but almost DRF. So these are the railway funds, and we will check this central road and infrastructure fund. This is indirectly helpful to Indian Railways. So it is Indian Railways fund. It is also one of the source of finance under capital expenditure, but we don't have this numerical code because this fund, from this fund we are getting the amount to railway safety fund. If we check 2020 and 21, 18,500 crores as allocated to Indian Railways. 18,500 crores from this fund. In the year 2019 and 20, it is 15,250 crores. Almost very big amount. So usually this amount is spending on planet 29 and 30. 29 is the LC gate, 30 is the ROBs or RUBs. This is established in the year 2000. The old name is called Central Road Fund. Now it is renamed as the Central Road and Infrastructure Fund. We'll check some more aspects. It is managed by the Department of Economic Affairs under the Ministry of Finance. Previously, when it was a Central Road Fund, it was under control of Ministry of Road Transport and Highways. Now, from the year 2000 onwards, after renaming this fund as CRIF, CRIF means Central Road and Infrastructure Fund. It comes under the Department of Economic Affairs under Ministry of Finance. So, very interesting feature is the source of fund is the very interesting. The levy and collection by way of cess, a duty of excise and duty of customs on petrol and diesel. That means the moment we purchase the diesel or petrol from this out of this, some amount is going towards this Central Road Infrastructure Fund by way of cess. In the year 2018 and 19, 1,13,000 crores collected under this fund. 1,13,000 crores. It is approximately 10 rupees per liter of the diesel or petrol. That means the diesel rate or petrol rate, it is a subsumed into diesel rate per liter. So what is the object of this fund is to finance infrastructure projects such as railways, inland waterways, roads and bridges, ports, shipyards, urban public transport, energy, water and sanitation, communication, and social infrastructure means educational institutions. So for all this purpose, so railway also it is one of the object of this fund. So that's why it is also a part of source of finance for railways. Here to allocate the funds under this script, one ministerial panel on the script is there. In that finance minister, railway minister, road transport and highways minister, and HRD minister is the members of this panel. Again, these 15 members subcommittee as secretaries from the different ministries. They are examining and evaluate proposals received from the ministries on infrastructure projects. And the last one is the National Investment Fund. National Investment. This is the one of the source of finance of the Indian Railway capex, capital expenditure. But so far we have not received any amount from this fund. Though the railways also is one of the items under this fund. We just go through. It is established in the year 2005. It is maintained by DIPAM. DIPAM means Department of Investments and Public Asset Management. This is the full form of DIPAM, Department of Investments and Public Asset Management. So how the credits comes under this fund is all proceeds from disinvestment of central public sector enterprises. See, PSUs are there. Now the government is sold out or closing PSUs, and all proceeds from the disinvestment of the central public sector enterprises. Initially the proceeds are kept under public account of India because it is not consolidated fund of India. Because consolidated fund of India means we can use this money for any other purpose. But it is not like that. It is for a separate purpose, separate object. That is the corpus. So that is the reason it was kept under public account of India. That is the third fund. So all of you know this consolidated fund of India, contingency fund of India, public account of India is there. So this corpus of this National Investment Fund is the permanent nature. Corpus means permanent nature. We cannot use this proceeds from disinvestment of CPSEs for any other purpose. Only interest we can utilize. That means the money with the NFP is the permanent in nature. Permanent in nature and professionally managed to provide returns to the government without depleting its value. That means if it is 100 crores funds is there, 100 crores will not change. Only the government can spend only interest on the 100 crores. So that means this 100 crores is the permanent nature, corpus. So this fund is managed by the professional managers, that is SBI Fund Management, ETA Asset Management Company, or LSC MF Asset Management Company. This is professionally managed. So this principal and corpus amount should not be used for any other purpose, but this income, it is used for the following purposes. One is subscribing shares being issued by the CPSE on the rights basis or preferential allotment of shares as per SEBI regulations, and capital infusion in the public sector banks and public sector insurance corporations, and investments in the regional rural banks or NABARD, and equity infusion in the metro projects, that is a Hyderabad Metro or Bangalore Metro as a government share, and investment in the BNVNL, that is Bharatiya Navikiya Vidyut Nigam Limited and Uranium Corporation of India Limited. And the last object is the investment in Indian Railways towards capital expenditure. This is also one of the objects of the National Investment Fund. But so far, the government is not allocated any amount under this fund to railways, capital infrastructure. So these are the sources of finance for budget. In another topic, we can discuss this extra budgetary resources. Any queries? Please tell me. Please raise the hand so that I will unmute. Yeah, Mr. Bamma Kumar, please unmute.
Sir, good afternoon.
Good afternoon, please tell me.
सर ये लास्ट में ये एनआईएफ के बारे में आप बताएं, नेशनल इन्वेस्टमेंट फंड, इसमें जो है बेसल 3 जो ये बता रहे थे सर, वो बेसल 3 समझ में नहीं आई। बेसल 3 क्या हो?
Pardon, National Investment Fund, na?
हाँ, उसी में बेसल एक टर्म आई थी, बेसल 3rd।
1 minute. Yeah, please tell me the DPAM.
एनआईएफ में नीचे सर, नीचे थोड़ा।
Pardon?
हाँ, यहाँ पे नीचे, इसके और नीचे थोड़ा डाउन में, डाउनवर्ड लास्ट में। हाँ हाँ जी सर, यहाँ पे 3rd ये 2 पॉइंट में 2nd पॉइंट।
Yeah, second point, for capital infusion in the public sector banks, suppose we have to increase the capital base of the Canara Bank or SBI or any other public sector bank or insurance company, that LIC companies. So we can use this income from the National Investment Fund. We can use this amount for this infusion in the public sector banks. Increasing the capital base shares.
सर ये बेसल 3rd नॉर्म्स क्या चीज है? व्हाट इज द बेसल 3rd नॉर्म्स?
Norms for see, it is managed by the DPAM, Department of Investments and Public Asset Management. But only railways infrastructure financing is the only one of the objectives. But so far we have not received any amount from this National Investment Fund.
सर एक क्वेश्चन और है, आरओबी फुल फॉर्म स्टैंड फॉर रोड ओवर ब्रिज।
Yes, road over bridge.
और आरयूबी रोड अंडर ब्रिज, नो?
Yes.
और एलएचएस लिमिटेड हाइट सब।
Yeah, that is in case some small limited height, some under bridges it is there. It is only for provision of this walkers and two-wheelers like that, not for big vehicles.
सर एक न्यूमेरिकल कोड बता रहे थे आप कैपिटल फंड में, वो सभी के न्यूमेरिकल कोड से क्या मीनिंग है?
Pardon?
न्यूमेरिकल कोड किसे कहते हैं, मतलब व्हाट इज न्यूमेरिकल कोड?
The capital allocation, the first 2 digits is reflect not demand number. In the revenue allocation, the first 2 digits is reflecting demand number. Whereas in the capital allocation, it is only single demand. So it is a numerical code to represent the name of the fund.
Okay.
Name
Thank you,
of means, suppose the amount we are spending from capital. So what is the numerical code we have to use? P20.
Thank you, sir.
So with P20 is the capital. 21 is DRF. Suppose the funds we are drawn from the DRF for the replacement of the assets. So the allocation start with 21. If it is the development fund, it is start with 23 or 33 or 43 or 53, depend on development fund 1, 2, 3, 4. If it is a capital fund, 25. Okay. Yeah. Next, Mr. Ajay Singh.
Sir, what is the train vehicle unit?
Yeah.
Train vehicle unit.
Yeah, I will tell you. Train vehicle units means, suppose if 10 trains, 10 trains are passing on that particular LC gate.
Yes.
How many trains? 10 trains. Suppose the number of road vehicles are 1000. Number of road vehicles is 1000. The number of trains is 10. So 10 into 10,000. What is the number? 1 lakh.
1 lakh.
This 1 lakh is called a train vehicle unit. If it is the 1 lakh, then it is eligible for road over bridge. Construction of road over bridge in place of this LC gate. That means it shows the busy traffic of the need of the ROB. Suppose if there is only 10 trains, only
Yes.
10 trains, but the road vehicles are only 7,000. Then What is the TBU?
70,000.
70,000. Then there is no need of this construction of road overbridge or road underbridge.
Okay, sir.
Sometimes the number of trains are very less, only 5 trains. But the road vehicles are more than 25,000. 25,000 into 5, 1,25,000. So it is the number described whether it is the need of ROB or RUB is there or not.
Yes, yes, sir. Another question, sir. Another question. What is the line capacity?
Line capacity to increase the line capacity, the number of trains to run in a period of 24 hours. Suppose if we check the Secunderabad Vijayawada track,
Yes.
the line capacity is 20 trains.
Yes.
So that means in the period of 24 hours, the maximum trains can run on this track only 20 trains. That is called saturation. If 80% of line capacity is over, that is called saturation. So in that case, the railway has taken steps to increase the line capacity from the 20 trains to 25 or 30, either by constructing third bridge or by improving the signaling arrangements.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
Like that, so we can run more trains with more line capacity.
Okay. Okay. Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Next, Ajay Singh, please unmute.
Sir, my question is over. My question is over.
Okay, Mr. P. Kumar, please unmute.
सर आरआरएसके के आ जाने से आरएसएफ का सर क्या यूटिलाइजेशन रह गया है सर?
Pardon?
आरआरएसके के आने से सर आरआरएसके जब आ गया है राष्ट्रीय रेल संरक्षा कोष, तो आरएसएफ जो पहले था सर रेलवे सेफ्टी फंड,
RSF both are almost same, but RSF it is only limited to LC gate and ROBs, railway safety fund, whereas RRSK it includes this LOP, ROP, RUP and replacement of electrical assets, rehabilitation of bridges, all the safety works including the LC gate and ROP, RRSK. Whereas safety fund it is only for plan at 29 and 30, and that is the permanent fund, this safety fund. Whereas RRSK it is only one-time fund, 5 years only.
आरएसएफ को सर हटा भी देंगे तो सर कोई अंतर नहीं पड़ेगा?
Yeah, please explain your in English.
सर यदि आरएसएफ को रेलवे सेफ्टी फंड को यदि हम रिमूव कर देंगे तो फिर क्या फर्क पड़ेगा सर? क्योंकि आरआरएसके तो आ ही गया.
Sir, I couldn't understand. Yeah, Hindi, please.
Now, what he says, if RSF is removed, will there be any effect? Because RRSK is already there. If RSK is removed, will there be any difference?
Please tell me, Penner, once again.
If RSK, Railway Safety Fund, is removed, will there be any difference? Because RRSK is already there.
Yeah, but RRSK is only one-time measure. After 5 years, it is a 2017 to 2022. After that, it is no more. But whereas the safety fund is the regular one.
Okay, sir. Thank you, sir.
Yeah, next, Mr. Janaki, please.
Hello, namaste, sir.
Yeah, please.
Sir, is there any particular formula to calculate DRF, sir, on replacement account?
No, there is no particular formula. I think if you know commercial accounting, how we are calculate the depreciation? It is the asset value divided by the caudal life. Suppose if it is the asset value is 1 lakh, the caudal life is 10 years. So what is the depreciation per year?
So your voice is not audible.
10,000. But we have not followed that scientific method in the railways. Only it is need come availability base. Whatever amount is available, so this is appropriated to DRF in the every year as per recommendations of Railway Convention Committee. There is no scientific methodology. Sir, hope no queries.
Acha.
Yeah,
So,
what is capital at charge? Capital at charge, it is nothing but now it is zero. Whatever loan capital is provided by Minister of Finance, it is a part of capital at charge. Now from 2017 and 18 onwards, the capital at charge stands zero. The difference between RSF and RRSK, yes, RSF it is only for road user safety. Railway safety fund it is only for road user safety. That means LC gate and ROB. Whereas RRSK is for our railway safety. RRSK is the railway safety fund is the only for road users. Yeah. Sir, hope no queries from the participants.
okay, sir. I think we can call it a day. Now the
लेंगे आधा घंटा के बाद
Acha, somebody is raising some query. Okay.
लेना है या देना है
Okay. So, on behalf of the Academy, I thank all the participants. I thank Speaker of the Day, Sri Nageshwara Garu, who has done an excellent session on this resources. So just to remind that tomorrow's login session will be at 14:45. Session will start at 15 hours. Thank you one and all. Thank you.